Hello and welcome back to another vintage inspired video. When I say the name Alfred Hitchcock, which film first comes to your mind? Is it Rear Window, Rope, Dial M for Murder? Those films all have one thing in common, and that is that they were filmed on sound stages. Hitchcock was pretty well known for using studio sets as a way to maintain control over his environment, which is something that I completely understand and would do myself in his position. But there were times where he used real life locations. Psycho is one that comes to mind where he did this, and I've done a video about that if you want to check it out. But today, we're here to talk about Vertigo. Right here behind me is the Legion of Honor, which featured pretty prominently in the film, and Hitchcock really made San Francisco its own character in the movie. And while it wasn't very well received when it came out in 1958, it is now widely considered one of Hitchcock's masterpieces of his career. And we're gonna go around San Francisco, checking out as many filming locations as we can. And while things have changed since it was filmed in 1957, you may be surprised at how much still remains the same. The Legion of Honor is an art museum, and it opened in 1924 and stands on what was the Golden Gate Cemetery from 1870 to 1909. This is a location that plays a pretty big part in the story, and Scotty follows Madeline here a couple of times. Here we are in Nob Hill in front of the Brockle Bank Apartments, which doubled as Madeline's apartment. And everything here is identical to as it was in 1957. These apartments have stood here since 1926. I mentioned how the film was not very well received when it came out. It was met with critical and box office indifference. Hitchcock and Stewart were both disappointed by the film's less than warm reception. And today, it's a funny thought because it is widely considered as one of the greatest films ever made. Jimmy Stewart was worried after this film that his career as a leading man was over, and in some ways, it was. Stewart had hoped to work with Hitchcock again on North by Northwest, but that call never came, and the script for that film was heavily tailored for Cary Grant. Hitchcock actually placed some of the blame for the film not doing that well at the feet of Jimmy Stewart. Hitchcock told film critic, director, actor Francois Truffaut that he felt that Stewart was too old for the role, and because of this, the film didn't perform as well. Midge's apartment was a set on the Paramount Studios lot, but that view from her window was the real view you would get from Telegraph Hill. It was achieved using a photographic background plate to virtually set the location. This is the alley where Jimmy Stewart follows Kim Novak to when she goes inside and into the back of a flower shop. A lot has changed in this alley in the last many years, but some details do remain the same, so I'm going to point those out. And this scene involved a little bit of movie magic because she goes into that door into the back of a flower shop that wasn't actually right here. It was a real flower shop, but it was a couple blocks away. I wanted to point out some things here. As you can see, those doors that were here are now sealed up. The one Kim and Jimmy went through, you can still see the shape of it here, which I think is really cool. Right here, take note of the bars that Jimmy Stewart walks by, as well as the rain gutters. They may be a different color today, but those rain gutters look identical. Most of the bars and windows that covered the wall as you walked by are now closed up, but this small section still remains. That's pretty cool.
We made it to Mission Dolores, which stands in as Carlotta's gravesite in the film. This is where Jimmy Stewart follows Kim Novak's character to the cemetery. And from what I've seen, the cemetery looks a little bit different than it did when they filmed in 1957. They also added a second door next to the one Kim Novak goes through for the gift shop. But beyond that, things look remarkably similar, I think. So let's go and take a look.
There was some movie trickery here. Both actors go through the door on the left, but if you go through this door, it takes you into the cemetery. But we know Jimmy enters into the chapel, which is just over here under that faux balcony. Scotty walks down this aisle, up these steps right here, and goes through this door. And I'm not sure where that one exits to, but it's not to where we get the next shot. Take note of the gravestone with the swirls to the left and the arched gate and brick column behind him. Those are all still visible today. The camera tracks backwards as he walks, as he's eyeing Madeline as she stands in front of Carlotta's grave. And you can easily make out the headstone on the right of Jimmy Stewart with the carvings in it, as well as the tall obelisk. There was a rock formation behind Kim Novak. That is no longer here. It's been replaced with what looks like a smaller grass hut. Bernard Herrmann, who was the composer of the hauntingly beautiful score, was quoted as saying he didn't think Hitchcock should have made the film in San Francisco and not with Jimmy Stewart because, quote, I don't believe he'd be that wild about any woman. And as a big Jimmy Stewart fan, I gotta say, I resent that. Here is where Carlotta's headstone was. You can see that small fence and headstone next to it remains the same. We're back again at Telegraph Hill at Midge's apartment. We never see the exterior of her apartment clearly, but we do see Jimmy Stewart drive up to it at night. We see Scotty and Madeline drive from what is actually a cul-de-sac, and while the building that was here has since been replaced, the view you see of the piers, Yerba Buena Island, and the Bay Bridge are identical. Scotty pulls up here, and we catch a glimpse of the building. I found a shot of what the building was like in 1970, and it matches what you see in the film. You can identify the same concrete wall, the railing, the steps in each of these images. This location is probably one of the most recognizable and memorable, next to the bell tower scenes, of course. This is as close as we're gonna get. It's right there on that corner where Scotty stands as he's watching Madeline right before she jumps into the bay. There's now a fence up preventing us from getting back into that area where they filmed. The shots we get where Scotty jumps into the water were filmed on a soundstage. They didn't really use the bay here. I read Scotty's home was chosen due to it being on Lombard Street, also known as the crookedest street in the world, which leans into the themes of the film, I think. In addition, Hitchcock wanted a location that had a view of Coit Tower, which, according to art director Henry Bumstead, was because Hitchcock viewed it as a phallic symbol. Scotty's apartment is completely different, as well as walled off. This change appeared to have happened sometime around 2012, and I have to imagine all of the changes were due to the many amounts of Vertigo fans that have probably come through here over the years. Honestly, since it's so different, there's not really a whole lot to see. What I can say, though, is Kim Novak and Jimmy Stewart did stand out on this sidewalk, and there is Coit Tower. It also plays a role in a Frank Sinatra film called My Pal Joey. The costumes. They were designed by my favorite costume designer, Edith Head, and it's been widely reported that Kim Novak did not want to wear that gray suit. Kim recounted it was more a distaste at wearing black shoes and an aversion to the suit due to its restrictive nature, not color. Novak recounted that Hitchcock never questioned anything about her character portrayal, and when she saw the black shoes, she told Edith Head she does not want to wear black shoes. And based off Hitchcock's hands-off approach thus far, she didn't think he would mind. But Hitchcock always had very specific ideas about costumes. She never came to like the suit, but felt it did aid in her ability to play the character due to how it informed her movements and mood. Edith Head had a slightly different take. In her autobiography, she said she found Kim Novak to be very earnest in her approach to working together and told Head she'd wear any color other than gray. Head stashed away the suit sketch at first and hoped that other designs would distract Novak from her displeasure with a gray suit once it was presented. Head spoke with Hitchcock about the color, asking if it had to be a gray suit, and he said it was very important to the characterization of Madeline and would not budge. Head quoted Hitchcock as saying, "I don't care what she wears as long as it's a gray suit." We're at Cypress Lawn Cemetery for one quick shot, and I've been driving around for a little while now. I found this spot pretty fast, and then I talked myself out of it that it wasn't the spot, but it was indeed the spot. Madeline's headstone was not real, so you will not find that if you come out here, but there's a smaller headstone, a few flat ones, and a taller one. Those are all still here, and that one that says Northrop looks remarkably similar to what Madeline's headstone looked like. Here we are at Union Square, and Hitchcock must have really liked this spot because he used it a few years later in The Birds, and I've done filming locations on that if you want to check it out. Here, we get just a very quick shot of Scotty crossing the road when he is unable to sleep because he is so upset about Madeline. This is just a special extra spot that I wanted to include. It's not a filming location. We're still in Union Square. This is August Hall, formerly the Stage Door Theater, and before that, the Stage Door Canteen in the 1940s, which was used as a USO club for World War II soldiers. The building dates back to the 1890s, and it has a lot of interesting history, and it's changed names and purposes over the years. But we're here because on May 9th, 1958, Vertigo had its premiere. I was only able to find one photo from the premiere, and I'm not 100% sure where it was taken, but it looks like it was either this ticket window or this one. We're now at the location where Scotty goes when he ends up in the hospital. This building was actually a hospital and dates back to 1928. And today it looks almost identical to as it did in that shot in the film. The trees have now overgrown and we can't see that city view, and the mailbox moved, but otherwise it looks the same. As I was taking video outside, a nice resident started chatting with me and asked if I wanted to see the inside, so here it is. And look at this, I thought this was neat because this is a photo of it from the year that it opened. The scene with Scotty and Midge was actually not shot here. That was another set that was built on the Paramount Studios lot. The resident who let me in offered to give me a little bit more of a tour of this place, and right over there is the church because this used to be St. Joseph's Hospital. And we did go inside there. It was really pretty. I'm going to put that footage up on my Patreon. Remember when I said they used a real flower shop? Well, here is where that was. Podesta Baldocci used to stand right in this location, just about a block away from that alley it's depicted as being right by. And this was a rare occasion where Hitchcock actually filmed an interior inside of a real life location. The shop held the title as the oldest operating florist in San Francisco, which was founded in 1871, and it said Hitchcock chose it in part to its ornate Italian marble floors. I also wanted to point out, this is the alley they show Madeline turning down, but we know, because we already went there, they filmed in a different alley about a block away. This is the hotel Judy leads Scotty to. The Empire sign is long gone, and this hotel has changed names many times. It's currently been renovated again to the Hotel Julian, but right before this, it was Hotel Vertigo. Jimmy Stewart comes walking down this sidewalk, and you can see these two spouts right here in the shot as he passes. And there's also a recessed doorway that you can see, and today the only difference is there's now a gate over it. The sign may be long gone, but I think it's still pretty cool though that the building's colors remain the same. We see Kim Novak open that window, but they didn't actually film any of the interior scenes here. Take note of these two decorative elements up here. These can be seen in the film. This is the Palace of Fine Arts, and we just get a quick glimpse of this when Scotty and Judy are walking by here together. Scotty, in his attempt to make over Judy as Madeline, first takes her here to this flower stand, and then to the department store, Ransenhoffs, which was across the street, a real place. I'm gonna guess this lamp post is the one that was here during filming because it looks just like it. Like I said, it was a real department store, though the interior was remade on a soundstage, though they did use real items from the store itself. And because of Vertigo, I bought a few vintage pieces from Ransenhoffs. I'm gonna put a few photos of me wearing those up on my Patreon. Here we are at the Mission San Juan Bautista. This location played a pretty pivotal role in the film, specifically the bell tower. But if you come here, don't go looking for that bell tower because it doesn't exist. It was a bit of movie magic. There was a stucco tower erected here in 1929 that was later taken down in 1949. In the film, the bell tower was achieved with matte paintings for the exterior shots. The interior was a studio set, and that stairwell that gave us the now very famous vertigo effect, where you have a dolly tracking with an opposing zoom, that was a scale model laid on its side.
Look at this. Here's your gray horse. Had a little trouble getting in and out of a stall without being pushed, but even so.
This is one of the coolest things in here. I'm not sure if it's original. It sure looks original though. The part of Judy / Madeline was first intended for Vera Miles, maybe best known to Hitchcock fans as Janet Leigh's sister in Psycho. Hitchcock planned to use the film as a vehicle to make her a star, and she went so far as doing hair and makeup tests. But due to Hitchcock's health issues during this time that delayed production, Vera Miles got pregnant and then therefore had to step back from playing the role, much to the chagrin of Hitchcock. Novak said that the role appealed to her because of Judy's resistance to change and being made over. It mirrored Novak's own experience in Hollywood.
Well, at first I was feeling insecure because I kept saying, well, now, is this right? How do you want me to play this character? And he said, I hired you, and that's why I want what you bring to this role. But what I do expect from you is to stand where I want you to, wear what I want you to, and speak in the rhythm that I want you to.
They come out of the stable, just to the left there, and Stewart follows Novak across this lawn, and they come to a stop about here. And then it makes it look like the building is right behind her, but it's not. Really, it's still all the way across this lawn. I think the shot of Novak looking up at the bell tower was a set. One, because it looks like it, and two, because I couldn't find a section on this wall here that matched up. It is this center arch that Novak runs through. She touches her hand right here on this pillar and continues to run up to this door and up to the bell tower. But unfortunately, it's locked, so we won't be able to check it out. I did not wear this outfit on accident, so I think we need to recreate one of the scenes. I'm gonna run towards that door. All right, that does it for today's video. Thank you so much for coming along with me and walking classic film history right here in front of the door that Kim Novak and Jimmy Stewart ran through up to the bell tower. I really enjoyed this. I hope you did as well. And until that next video, I am wishing you a super swell day, and I will see you then. Bye. Thank you so much for watching. If you enjoyed this, please give the video a like and be sure to check out my Patreon for those exclusive extras.